Hello, the late challengers. Welcome to episode 41 of the podcast. We've got some big news this week, so stay till the end for that. But before then, we're going to get stuck in and kicking off with a general look at the footy from last weekend, because it's another international break after 12 games, nearly a third of the season now. So we thought we'd ask ourselves how everyone's getting on. Where do we stand with everything? We're going to do our full Liverpool chat on a separate show, which we'll talk more about later. But I saw a little stat the other day that the top four, I don't know whether it's still true after this weekend, but last weekend has got the most combined points it's ever had, which says a lot, doesn't it? Because you think people say the leagues get more competitive, but I guess the top four and the bottom four probably are mirror images of each other. But where do you think it's all standing as it is now? We've had a weekend, as a little recap: Villa won, Spurs got beat, Everton won, boo. Arsenal won, we won, City drew with Chelsea. So we're going into the international break a point behind City, level on points with Arsenal, a point ahead of Spurs, 2 ahead of Villa. And I was thinking as well that it ties into our little prediction at the start of the season, didn't it? Because I tipped Spurs as dark horses and you tipped Villa. So what's your general overall impression as it stands?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously City have shown a few little chinks in their armour, albeit, injury, you can relate it to injuries, Kev De Bruyne, and obviously Rodri was out for a bit, wasn't he? And I still kind of feel like their juggernaut has not veered very much from where it normally is. And I think that's reflected in the bookies' odds. They're still very much odds-on favourites to win the league. But it is interesting that there's like a little group, at least for now, in behind. And, it's been refreshing to sort of see something a little bit different in terms of Spurs being up there, albeit the bubble feels like it's burst a little bit now. Villa as well. I've just quietly been going about the business, being great at home, clocking up the results, going up the league. Got a good manager, got a good midfield, got a lad who can score, got a decent keeper, you know what I mean? So that was sort of like my basis for tipping them as a bit of a dark horse. And I've quite enjoyed, I listen and watch a lot of footy content, really. And I still like a phone in me. I still listen to the phone. There was a fella the other night that really annoyed me though, because I just kind of thought, I don't mind a blurt who makes like a daft point, but this fella was like slurring his words and was clearly like had been on the pop all day. And I just thought sticking him on national radio to hear him say, he wanted Klopp out on the basis of, precisely nothing.
Liverpool fan?
Yeah, allegedly. But didn't no hint of a Scouse accent or anything. And look, I know Liverpool fans, aren't all Scouse before you lash that in the comments. But I don't know, he just had nothing to say. There wasn't a basis for what he was saying. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of thought, well,
it's been a wild thing to say, isn't it? When we're second in the league.
And I just kind of thought, well, the producer should have done the work here and check that he did actually have a point to make and not just come and slur all over the airwaves. But yeah, I've liked Villa fans though, is what the point I was going to make. Like they're coming on and they're excited and they're enjoying themselves and they're getting a bit carried away. And there was one lad on a few nights ago sort of saying I think we can win the league and all this. And they were like, you've gone too early, you're getting carried away. And he's like, well, why not? And it was like, well, all them teams above you for a start, mate. But I like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's interesting and if one team just runs away with it year after year, and we've already talked at length to the point of boredom about the advantage that City have in how they run, etc. But I like it. I like it at the moment. I like that it's interesting. I mean, the bottom's not so interesting, is it? And it's just the promoted sides. And I think everyone said that would be the case. That's how it's unfolding. And albeit that, Sheffield United have clocked up a couple of wins, Luton got a draw against us, which was unexpected. Barely just look like mad. Like how many different ways can Vincent Kompany come and stand in front of a camera and saying, we're sticking to our principles, we're playing well, we're doing a lot of things right, but we're just not actually scoring goals or winning matches. Yeah.
Well, that ties in. It's funny, isn't it? Because the form table, it is funny when you just look. I like footy we can get so complex and so detailed about footy these days. But I love it when sometimes you just boil it down, do you know what I mean? And I looked up the league tables, put in the agenda, and when it's just got the little the little graphic of the last 5 games, when it's just 5 losses on the bounce, and that extends back for Burnley, doesn't it? They've won 1 game all season.
Won 1, yeah.
It ties into a point I was going to ask you about one of our old favourites, but I think old favourites, it's only from this season, shows you how quickly things change. But I was going to ask you about Postecoglou as well, but like, is his bubble bursting? Because I think that's there's a mad thing, isn't there? That I mean, we haven't spoke about this. This was over a week ago now, 10 days ago by the time this comes out. The Spurs Chelsea game when they went down to 9 men, and I saw Carragher after the game, Joe. Because again, his interviews are great, aren't they? A bit like Klopp has always been. His interviews are fucking. If you're a journalist or for TV companies, no wonder they all love him. Because that answer to that question, when it was like, did you not think like he should go more defensive or blah blah blah, and he just like dead matter of factly said, if we go down to 5 men, we'll still give it a go. And went to Carragher in the Sky studio, and he was like, I love that answer. But I was laughing to myself because it reminded me of when I remember we used to like go to Old Trafford and you'd nick a 1-0 win or something, and Ferguson had moan about that style of football and come in to play defensively. And then I don't know why this one sticks in my head, but I think it was West Ham, they beat 4-1 at Old Trafford. They just battered them. And he praised their manager and he's a clever fellow, wasn't he? Obviously, like, he praised their manager for coming to Old Trafford and having a go. Yeah, and I'm laughing to myself going, they got beat 4-1, mate. Like, why is that fucking good? Why have we got this thing that it's like great to be brave and have a go and get battered every week?
I didn't think it was, to be honest. I mean, like, look, I know Spurs fans are saying like, well, you know, Dyer was unlucky with his goal that was chalked off. Son had a chance, you know, and it's basically 3 late goals that have, you know, shined it out to being like a 4-1. But if you watched it, it was just a case of when are Chelsea going to work out that like a man from deep running onto a ball over the top is going to be through. Yeah. And it's just a case of when did they time it? When did they realise that's what they need to do? And then I just didn't get it. I just thought, I was watching, I think it's absolutely inevitable that they lose, and then they lose. And if you've got 5 man, the match is abandoned anyway by that point.
I know. I thought that. But it's funny, isn't it? Because that attitude over the years, we've seen. I don't think it's real, though. It doesn't win you anything.
I don't think that was real either. Like, it felt to me like don't get me wrong, I think Postecoglou's like an intelligent fella. He's done great. I like loads about him. We talked on here about how much we were finding him a breath of fresh air. But I thought that was one where I thought it was funny in a way, because it was like, it's dead obvious to me that you're presenting one thing and you feel another one. Like, his eyes were like fucking black and he was absolutely fuming. And he's going, I'm not bothered about the referees, like, not bothered about the decision. Yeah, you got booked in the game as well, by the way. But so yeah, I didn't quite think he was being 100% truthful, is what I'm trying to say.
But and also, in what way though do you think? Because the game spoke for itself. With 9 men, there's that almost infamous picture now, isn't there? But for me, that's the bit where I was like, sorry, this isn't. As we've talked, haven't we, about maybe doing a section of either one of these shows or the LFC show of potential future Liverpool managers if Klopp decides to leave, and who's in the
Sabi.
Oh well, he's top of the list right now, isn't he? Got to be. I was going to talk about him today, but we'll save him for another day. The Postecoglou was high on my list earlier in the season, but things like that just blow them out the water for me. When you've got a picture of this, is basically we're down to 9 men. And our tactic is to have all of our players on the halfway line, pretty much, in a straight line, facing our own goal. Again, that you mentioned Eric Dyer, but that was the thing that made me laugh. So your tactic here is Eric Dyer is going to have a one-on-one sprint race with all of Chelsea's attackers. That's the tactic. That's fucking wild, mate. Like, if I was playing Sunday League now, and a manager said that to me, I'd be like, that's not going to work though, is it?
And also, like, you know, he was there for like when we nearly got a result out of it. And we didn't do that. And we still had chances, but like we just didn't set up in such a dickhead way, basically. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't get, it's not about principles. Like, in that situation, surely you've got to show some pragmatism and you've got to go, well, what's the most likely way we get something from this? And it's not doing that, is it? I didn't get why it was debated so much. I certainly didn't get why it was championed. Like if you're playing away normally and it's attacking and exciting, get it. And like I get that he's a breath of fresh air compared to Conte and Mourinho. Also get that sound. And he's great with the media, and you know he seems like someone you'd want to have a bevy with, and all of those things. But in that situation, I didn't get it. I don't know what he was doing. And I also, what I didn't see mentioned much, but I wondered about it was, so they got 2 sent off. And if you look how they were going into like challenges and stuff early in the game, I was a bit like, why are they, what's that about? Why are they that fired up? Like, and I know, don't get me wrong, I know that there's like a Tottenham Chelsea thing, and I know that Chelsea have traditionally like got one over them on the regular and things like that. So, you perhaps pump them up a little bit. But equally, if you think about how Klopp's managed Liverpool, and like, we talked on here before about the derby and how Liverpool as a group of players seem to be on derby day, how he is in the run up to a derby. He treats it as another match. And like he treats it like the opposite. Like, don't get them that pumped up. Just say, we've got a system and we systematically are going to go out and get a result. And you don't need to get all hyped up. You don't need to have your blood pumping. You don't need to go into challenges where you're potentially going to go and get sent off. Just go out and do what we've trained. Just go out and do what we do. Work on the stuff, do the stuff on the pitch that we've done in training all week. And so, because it's took me a long time, by the way, to get to this point. Loving the kind of football I loved growing up, and even played in, I was shit, but you know what I mean. I got sent off a fair few times when I did have a game of footy. But having read like 1,000,001 psychology books and like the sports psychology, footy psychology, all that. That's what you come out the other side, realising that, like, all that old school stuff, like, fucking get it, stuff for the fucking first whistle and fucking take them out and show him you did. Doesn't work anymore, for one, because of the way referees are. Yeah. And two, you're actually risking your plan by pumping your players up that far, aren't you? They just need to go out and be calm and perform to the level that they should be able to perform to. And like, so I thought, well, has he fucked up in more than one way? Yeah. Not only the line that the high line with 9 players and all that everyone's talked about, but also did he have them too pumped up because it was Chelsea?
Yeah. It's interesting. You just remind me, there's a movie. I want to say it's based on a true story, but I might be making that up, about MMA fighters. It's called Warrior or something like that. Have you ever seen it? Thingy's in it. Tom Hardy. And the guy who becomes, like, without spoiling it for anyone who hasn't seen it, and I'll struggle to do that considering I haven't told you. I'm not even sure of the name of the movie. But his coaching it, and this is in fighting, his coaching it, the main thing he focuses on is staying calm.
Yeah.
And that's in a fucking fight. Do you know what I mean? He's like, you've got to stay calm, doing breathing exercises. And when you're under that intense pressure, stay calm, don't lose your head. And that obviously applies in all sports and in this.
I remember, like, I'm not comparing myself to any of these boys for a second, but I was talking about, things that have happened in my life. Like, I used to do karate years and years ago. I think I mentioned that before on here anyway. But like, I went in a tournament once, and I went in a tournament a couple of times, but one of the tournaments I was in, I'd like done a bit of it was like a bit of a roundhouse on this lad, and I'd like connected. And so I'd basically got the point, or got half a point or whatever. But because I was all fired up and I'm having a fight rather than, it's kind of a fight, but it's competition. So like, as I landed, so I've got like that, kicked him, and then as I've landed on my foot, I just like swung this dig at him. Not even a karate punch, more of just like a street fight type punch, and just like knocked this lad on his ass and got disqualified for excessive force.
Oh.
And like
proper Karate Kid movie shit.
Me sensei said afterwards, like, you just lost your head there, like, because you got the point off the kick. And he said you should have just like, gone back, realised you got the point, or the half point, done, carry on, move through it. He said, but you've allowed your head to get carried away. Like, so yeah, it's constantly a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's that is the thing, isn't it? Like, even in that game, they mentioned, I think it was Romero's been sent off 4 times now, and we've seen this throughout the careers of loads of footballers. It's like, if you get sent off all the time, that's a liability to your team. Because look at them now, like, they're without key players because of that, for a start, going into the game.
Patched up defence at the weekend.
And it did make me laugh, because then even going into the next game with 11 men,
like, good luck playing your style of footy with Eric Dyer centre back, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of that. So I mean, on the bigger picture, I do want, because they were my tip as the dark horse, and I don't see why they won't still be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think they'll still be like, top 4 or just off. But it was always going to happen. I think we almost predicted it. And most people did, didn't they? That, the bubble will burst.
Well, he said it himself.
Yeah.
Like, he said it himself. Like, you could, I think we said weeks ago, you've got the sense that he wasn't at ease with being everyone's darling.
Yeah.
Because you can tell, like, me and you at the very start, like, you were sending me clips in the middle of the night watching YouTube videos, like, and if you haven't seen it, go and look up the one. And it's when he's a very young coach, and he's the coach of like an Australian youth team, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he's just having a fucking argument with a fella on the telly.
Great.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to interview him, and he just keeps going on him and having a pop at him. And
But then he doesn't do that now, does he?
no.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he's
calmed
kept
down.
the chimp in, even when he was fuming, even though like the chimp was dancing around in his eyes in that interview. That's what made me laugh, because like, I seen some reaction even to the interview as well, and it was like, so refreshing that he didn't have a go at the officials and all this. And I'm like, Sam, so just because some words didn't spill out of his mouth in that horrible interview that they all hate straight after the final whistle, it's fucking written all over his face that he's not happy, mate. So, like, do you know what I mean? He's still carrying the same emotion as all the managers that you've ripped. It just hasn't actually formed into words. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of managers now, by the way, that are saying that, if you got onto it the last few weeks, loads of them are saying, sort of, unprompted almost, like that they hate that interview. And like, stop putting us in front of cameras and mic. And again, it's like, feel like we've been saying, not like we're oracles on it, but more like we've pointed out loads and loads. That's horrible in a way, isn't it? And it's horrible that they're contractually obliged to do it as well. It's like, we know you'll fuck up in this interview, so we're making you do it.
Yeah. Well, it's even funny because we're recording this the day after City and Chelsea drew 4-4, and Pochettino comes across as quite a mild-mannered man, doesn't he?
Did you hear him on the radio?
The final whistle when he went charging onto the pitch. What did he say on the radio? No?
So he's done that charge on the pitch, which he's apologised for now. That was because he thought basically Sterling had the chance of going through and making
when
it 5-4.
When he blew the final whistle, yeah.
So he's apologised for that. But I had it on 5 Live. And, again, they've literally, like, he's come down a tunnel, collared him, 5 Live, and they've interrupted the show and go, we're going to go to Pochettino live. And he went, so he said something like, I can't remember the exact words now. I was laughing my head off in the car. He said something like, I'm looking at what the referee and the lines are doing, and I'm thinking, what the fuck?
He's already said.
and to be fair, the reporter like blended it so well, like, do you know what I mean? Just sort of went like, hey, apologies for if you heard something there, just calm down, blah blah blah. But like, he didn't say it. He did it in a really good way, because like some of them will do that, and it gets the manager's back up that you've just interrupted them, apologise for it.
Yeah.
He said it in a way where it was sound and blended it, and then when he went back to the studio, like Savage and something were like, he's one of the best in, isn't he? Like, broadcaster wise and all this, and like, yeah, they're very bad, because he did handle it well. But I was still laughing at me, because I thought, I mean, I've not looked, to be fair, but I thought it would have made some headlines that today, like, do you know what I mean? His foul mouth rant on the radio. But you would have had to be listening to it to get it, I think. Do you know what I mean? Because the BBC aren't going to make a big deal about it, because it happened on air for them.
Yeah.
But it was definitely there, and it was,
But it's funny, isn't it, when you think about it? Because when Poch started, he was one of those, I think we mentioned this the other week, he's one of those managers who was like, I can't speak English. And I know people saying he can't. Yeah. He can't speak English, like, in his normal life. He just chooses in these interviews to stay in Spanish and be like,
Seems sound him though, doesn't he?
Yeah, I really like him. Well, that was one of the questions I had for you, like, because it looks to me like
league in the Premier League.
We could have a little sound league. Well, the only thing that stopped him being sound for me was him going to Chelsea.
Well,
but there comes a point, doesn't there, where you've only got so many clubs to choose from as a manager, and you're only going to get so many opportunities. So I'm sure if you said to loads of them, if you had free choice, who would you pick? And they would all pick different to who they actually ended up with. A lot of them would. But what do you think of them? Because they were a basket case, and it looked a few weeks ago like they were going to take him the way they've taken a couple of other managers under the new ownership. But he looks like he's finally starting to get his way across, and they're getting somewhere with it.
I mean, all I think about it is like, I mean, look, they've signed a ridiculous amount of players for a ridiculous amount of money on ridiculously long contracts. And like anyone who's ever watched a game of footy or knows even anything about it knows loads of them are quality players. So eventually, you know, like it's like, I don't know, like monkey with a typewriter eventually writing Shakespeare. Like, you know, it kind of feels inevitable that he'll knock them into some sort of shape. But, you know, they're already...
But isn't it only inevitable because he's so good?
I don't know.
Because I think even the way it's gone this season, with a less assured manager, it could have eaten him alive as well. In the same way Ten Hag's going at United, or seems to be going, and we'll see whether he pulls it back around. But I think it takes a lot to like... in that environment to be able to just sort of pull it through.
I mean, I would still say jury's out on that, like, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, the Tottenham one, well, it's 9 men and it's a little flurry of late goals. Okay, yesterday, you know, or yesterday as we record, the 4-4. Well, it's impressive that you scored 4 against Man City, yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, even looking at their 10th in the table now on 16 points from 12 games.
But they got beat by Brentford at home, didn't they?
Yeah, the record's shit.
Yeah.
Like even the last 5 games, 1 drawn, lost 1 drawn.
Lost to Villa at home, lost to Forest at home, lost to West Ham away.
I think the thing for me that makes me think they might be clicking is the thing they were missing was scoring goals. And they seem to have started scoring goals. I know they've conceded 4 against City, but it's a bit of an outlier, that game, isn't it? Because I've always said in our games against City, it's mad that you can have an opponent where any result wouldn't surprise you. Like if we play City after the international break, if that game's 0-0 or 4-4, it wouldn't surprise me. If we beat them 4-1 or got beat 4-1, it wouldn't surprise me. All of those options are potential. Do you know what I mean?
We haven't won this since 2018, though, have we?
Yeah. But things like that always sort of slip out your mind, don't they? Because we have beat them.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, that Cole Palmer looks good, doesn't he? He's played well. You know, Sterling's been too much. And plus, I think, I think slowly some of the injuries are starting to clear up as well. You know what I mean? Like, the ball to striker, he got injured. And everyone's like, how come they can't score? Because the striker got injured.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but and at the same time, it's mad that they've spent £1 billion and they've got one striker to rely on. And he's injured. And you're like, and did you see, I saw a little thing at the weekend, and this sort of puts things in perspective. Even though they've spent that much money, the thing that I question about Chelsea is how good are the lads they've bought? Because it's not like they bought a load of superstars. They bought loads of young lads, didn't they? Like in Nkunku, who's out. Did you see at the weekend, Harry Kane has scored more now in the Bundesliga than that lad did all last season.
Really?
And he was the top scorer in the league last season.
Yeah, but he's just playing shite for Bayern Munich, isn't he? And like scoring 6 goals against one side.
But doesn't that show you like how the point I'm making is it sort of shows you how well a good goal scorer can do in that league. So someone who scored 12 is not necessarily that good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know. You know, jury very much out on them, I think, and we'll see.
I wanted to get your opinion on one thing, because I thought when it happened. Did you see Sterling's celebration when he scored?
No.
He proper went for it, like, Joe, none of this, Joe, the whole, like, I don't celebrate against my old team thing. It was the opposite. He was like, fuck you, I'm celebrating.
But I mean, that doesn't surprise me because he didn't sort of leave on a big... He didn't seem to love it, did he, when he left? The Palmer one made me laugh. I seen his celebration. And I heard, like, I think it was Winter on the radio going on about, you know, how cool his penalty was and all this kind of stuff. And then, but then he goes, and, you know, like, fair play to him for not celebrating against his old club. And I thought, what? He's gone up to the end and he's put his hands out to say, I'm fucking bossed. It's like dead cocky. Really cocky celebration. Just going, course I was gonna bag that. Yeah. There was that wasn't a respect for Man City thing. That was a lad I was always gonna slot. You know what I mean? Type of thing. And a weird interpretation that by Ard Hank, I thought.
Yeah. I told you, my brain, the thing I said about me granddad the other week when it was like, about the names of players. My brain just won't move past Carlton Palmer for that kid. Like whenever I think of him, my brain goes Carlton Palmer, and I have to go
Slightly
to it.
different.
Not Carlton Palmer, no, Cole Palmer, and my brain's just like, nope. So I'm just sort of accepting with my own brain that I refer to him as Carlton Palmer.
Yeah, they're slightly different. Maybe just get two pictures of them.
Imagine
program your mind.
He's
like that.
Imagine saying you get these two confused to a person, to another person. That's what I'm doing to my own brain. They're not the same person. He's like, I don't care. We already had a Carlton Palmer in our head. Cole Palmer is too close to Carlton Palmer's name,
like
so we're just keeping that.
My mate, who's probably, good chance he's listening actually, was in denial about needing glasses for a long time. Because I went early with mine. I was like, it's blurry when I go to the match, so I need them for distance. What's the point in going to the match if it's blurry? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm on the car, so watching the Annie Road is a task at the best of times. So if your eyes are going, get bins. But my mate was like constantly in denial about it, and there was a time where he said, "Who was that? Who was that who scored first half there? Was that Ryan Babel, was it?" And it was Dirk Kuyt. And I was like, mate, you couldn't have got that more wrong, really. So it's really time to go to Specsavers, you know what I mean?
That was my granddad at the end of his match going days, and you're just like, granddad, it's just, I don't even know what you're watching, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is the perception of what you're watching here when you're mixing up these lads? Well, we'll wrap that up because I want to make sure we get onto some internet stuff at the end of this, and to give our update. So have you got a fact of the week for everyone?
Oh yeah, I actually nearly forgot today, to be honest, and it was only when you sent your agenda that I was like, oh shit.
Have you got onto? I always put your Robbo's fact of the week in highlighted yellow in the middle of my agenda, so I don't forget.
So that was what it was really. Like I was like, that came through, and I was all like, I was doing me inner peace thing all morning. Like I'm all right, I'm sound. No, this isn't bothering me. No, that's not bothering me. And then that came, and I was like, oh shit, threw loads of stuff up in the air, running around the gaff. Like, what am I going to do? And then just a really random thing came to me to do, so I'm doing it. I'm doing Southport today. What's your thoughts about Southport? What comes to mind when I say Southport?
I'm surprised you're even throwing it in the mix as a local thing.
Well,
I'd have thought
it means I get to have a pop, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd have thought you'd be very firmly in the ballpark that Southport is Tory and it is not Liverpool. But there's all kinds of stuff around it, isn't there? There's all kinds of border stuff. And
yeah. Well, for those that don't know, because I appreciate that people from all over the show listen to the show or watch the show. So Southport is 17 miles north of Liverpool, but 15 miles southwest of Preston. Once upon a time, we're obviously all in Lancashire. But as you've already touched on, I think in the modern day, some think it's strange that Liverpool and Southport are in the same county. Politically, the constituency of Southport has historically been a key battleground between the Conservatives and the Lib Dems. But Labour has started to emerge as a serious contender in recent years. General election, the Conservatives took the seat. And the Lib Dems candidate fell into third place the last time around. So yes, they are indeed, as the polls show, Tories. And then I wondered myself until I was Googling, how did they end up in Merseyside though? Because it just feels like there's not a whole lot in common. Like, I don't know if you've been and drank there. But if you sound Scouse, like there's a likelihood you'll get a bit of shit. That's what happened when I've been anyway, do you know what I mean? And even that's weird. Like, why you're asked? You're in Merseyside, aren't you? But apparently one of the reasons that it actually happened, I read this today, was that they were going to lose out on separate education and social services departments, so that they in Southport Corporation lobbied for inclusion in the county of Merseyside so that they could join up with Bootle and form the district of the borough of Sefton, because it benefited them service-wise at the time. And then obviously as time's gone on, they've tried to like sort of join up with like that, like become part of West Lancashire and all that kind of stuff. And there was a Southport back in Lancashire party at one point. But as it stands, and there was some kind of like a public opinion thing, which it turned out that people were actually more torn on it than than many had suggested. So it does remain still in the Merseyside area, in the county of Merseyside. Also, the transport links are shit the other way, apparently. So like the link to Liverpool transport wise, they're on the train network and all that, but going up deeper wall, it's not there.
Deeper wall.
I mean, like, I can give you more if you want. I don't know which Southport you want. I've got like something that I'm aiming towards, but then I got like distracted when I was doing my research about various other things. Like, you know, like I knew this. Did you know about the footy club? They're the last club to be like voted out of the league.
No.
Yeah.
How'd you get voted out the league?
Because that's what used to happen. So like, you didn't get relegated into non-league. You got voted out.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, and they were the last ones.
So it was literally a popularity contest.
So 1978, they were voted out of the Football League following 3 consecutive 23rd place finishes. 24th was the bottom, like, so they hadn't actually finished bottom, but like, you know, however the vote went, it was like, well, they've been shit for a few years on the run now.
That's fucking mental, isn't it?
I know.
So everyone else was like, yeah, you aren't finishing bottom, but you're shit, so you can fuck off.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And they were replaced by Wigan Athletic, the last club to leave the Football League through the re-election process. Automatic relegation from the 4th division was introduced in 86-87. What else you want to know about it? It was a Victorian Southport, a Victorian seaside resort. The pier is the second longest pier in the country, in the British Isles. It's also shut. Did you know it was shut?
Is it closed?
Yeah, it's shut because for safety reasons. After extreme weather in December 2022, it accelerated issues with the decking. And when they started looking into it and they got experts in, it needs £13 million spent on it to reopen.
Fucking
and funnily enough, Sefton Council doesn't have a spare £13 million. So it's been shut for nearly a year now.
That's wild, because when you said that, I was like, I'm sure I walked down on that pier recently.
No.
So it must have been the end of last year.
Yeah, December 2022, it's shut. But like, when you dig into this, because it's an interesting story, isn't it? And like, you very soon arrive at a massive fuck's sake in this story. So I was like, oh, that's mad, isn't it? Because I mean, I knew, because I used to take Holly down there on the regular. So, and I still do. So I knew it was shut, because he like running up and down there, and there's a little train and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there isn't, and I knew. But as I say, I dug into it this morning, and apparently one of the reasons it's going to cost so much is because they did actually pay for some work to be done to keep it going a while back. And the contractor, in the year 2000, apparently used the wrong screws and the wrong wood, failing to renew the steelwork and fixings correctly, resulting in the failure of the coating system and corrosion of the underlying steelwork. Sefton Council won its case against the contractor that was responsible for this work, but guess what? They went into liquidation. And now a councillor was recently asked about what the crack is with the pier, and she just said, we haven't got that kind of money. So they're like, they're sort of applying for all government schemes and things like that. Largely it seems getting jibbed, and there is a chance it will not have a pier. You know what I mean? Which has happened elsewhere in the country. But I actually started out when I thought, I'll do this, I was going to ask you, and therefore the wider listenership, do you know what museum they've got in Southport?
Do I know what museum they've got in Southport?
Yeah.
No.
Like, it's a British museum and it's in Southport.
Like the official one, the main one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I should know that.
Yeah.
British Museum or something in Southport. I think I do know what it is.
Since 1987.
Is it something to do with, this is a mad guess, right? If it's wrong. Is it something to do with like lawnmowers?
Get in. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
The British Lawnmower Museum, located in Southport since 87. TripAdvisor describes it as the nation's foremost garden machinery collection, multi-award winning unique museum of over 250 restored machines, including lawnmowers of the rich and famous, including Prince Charles and Princess Diana.
Fucking Tory, that, isn't it? That's the most Tory thing I've ever heard in my life.
A tribute to the garden machine industry over the last 200 years. Don't let the grass grow under your feet.
What's King... This has just occurred to me. How the fuck has King Charles got a lawnmower? As if King Charles has ever mowed a fucking lawn in his life.
I don't know, and I'm not going to go. I mean, it's just shit, that, isn't it?
Right, we're back. Little technical hitch there. This is all part of the... People don't even know we're in a new studio, do they?
I know. Albert Toch, like fucking Richard and Judy.
Yeah.
This morning.
For those people who know this gaff, we're going to start filming on the Fred Talbot's old weather map soon. That's a very niche reference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, international viewers know that.
Cancelled Fred Talbot.
Was he?
Just a bit, mate.
Have I missed something massive here?
Yeah.
I love that. Fucking hell. I've done that thing again where I've opened my mouth and people will be like, fucking hell, Copey, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know everything in the world all the time. Should we talk about it on air or do you want to tell me off?
I think we move on.
Yeah, okay. And well, I want to play a game, so I'm trying to get paper and pens. You need it, definitely. Anyone else who wants to play? Give piece of paper to Robbo and you take one as well.
I've got one pen.
Okay, well, give it to Robbo first. And then you just get your phone. You like this? So, right, this is some internet stuff that has crossed my path in the past couple of weeks that I really liked. This first one especially. But I've used it twice since, and it in a room full of people it works. I'm not sure it will, but so everyone at home, I want you to play this game. This is something my mum told me. So bear in mind, my mum's 78. I went for dinner last week, and it was my sister said to me brother-in-law, tell Paul about what my mum said last week. So my mum had got this thing up on Facebook, and when I told other people about it, they were like, oh my God, yeah, I've seen that. This thing that only happens once every 1,000 years, right? So you can do it on your phone, Jacob and Dylan. You can get everyone joining if you want. Right. So you do this at home if you're listening, watching. Take the year you were born. This only happens once every 1,000 years. Take the year you were born and add the age you are this year, that you turn this year, and add them together. And I can tell you exactly what number it comes to.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Do you know what it is? You're all onto it, yeah. It's this year. It's 2023. Yeah. So my mum thought, right, I want everyone at home who did that, right? If you did it. It's mad. This room, this speaks volumes for you boys. You're very on the ball. So I want everyone who is listening or watching to be honest and put in the comments on YouTube if you're watching, or send us a little message on social media whether you got onto it. My mum told us that story, right? Told us this game. She was like, I got it on Facebook, and she was going to us, watch. She had a pen and paper and was going, watch. What year were you born? And I went like 1980, and she went, and how old are you this year? 43. And she went, it comes to 2023. And I was like, yeah. Okay.
Will do,
of course it does, yeah. And she went, no. And this is me. She went to me, it's not just you. She went, look, I did it. My brother-in-law was telling me, and he went, Paul, it was mad. She was going around the room, going, what year were you born? 1975. And how old are you? Yeah, comes to 2023. And we're going to her, are you fucking joking? And she went, no. She went, so I did it in Siobhan's family. I went to Siobhan, let's do it on your family and see. Only one person in the room reacted like you. A stepdad looked at me and went, yeah, of course it does. And all the others in the room were going, it's fucking mad, that, isn't it? It's mad. It only happens once every 1,000 years. And I was like, it doesn't only happen once every 1,000 years.
Happened being your
it's
birthday,
a fucking wind up. Well, that's why it's the year. I figured that out afterwards. They were telling, it's got to be how old you turn this year if you haven't already turned.
That's how you say it.
That's how you phrase it. Otherwise, you can be 1 year out. But let us know, right, if you did that, because the number of people who were like, oh my God, that's mad, isn't it? My mum, honestly, even to the point where I was going to her, but of course, mum, you're adding the year you were born to the number of years since that year.
All it proves, though, isn't it?
All
it proves is like is this under internet challenge, isn't it? So all this proves is the amount of gullible people on the internet. Like, have you seen that there's a Lego Millennium Falcon come out?
A Lego Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
There hasn't there always been one? No.
I don't think there's always been one, but like they've got it in an Asda in a glass box, and it's like, whoa, get in.
How much is that? About $1,000?
So yeah, it's about 400 quid, I think, with it off the top of my head. But I seen one of them like JAG sites where it was like, you know, a tenner or a fiver or whatever. And so obviously like I just went, well, that's obviously blag. Do you know what I mean? Because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Lego sell it for 400 quid, but you can make a profit at a tenner.
And there's all people there, like, you know, in the comments and all that. And like, I just went in the comments myself and was just like, how do you think? Yeah, it's 588 quid at Argos. And that's in the fucking sale.
So people are buying it for a tenner and then expecting it, like, and I'm
pissed
like, off when it...
How do you think this isn't jar? Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you this gullible? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't
well,
get
that was
why
one
you
thing
would ever click that.
Like, people talk about the world going to shit and all that, and I think there's a good theory. I might do a dissertation on this one day. There's a theory you can link the world going to shit with old people being put on Facebook. Because I remember going to me mum's once, and my sister went, "Oh, I've set up a Facebook account for my mum," and I went to her, "I'm not sure that's a good idea," and she was like, "Why?" And I went, "Because she won't get it." And like one of the things it reminded me of when she did this, I went round. This was like 6 months after my mum first went on the internet, got Facebook. And she went to me, "Have you heard about," I don't think I've ever told you this, she went, "Have you heard about the US, about the national anthem?" And I went, "No." And this was back when I used to watch the news a bit more and pay attention. I went, "What do you mean?" She went, "They've changed it." I went, "But they've changed the US national anthem?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I went, "Mum, I'd have heard about that if they changed the fucking, that's just something they're going to do overnight." Yeah. And she went, "I went, what have they changed it to?" And she sang it to me, and it was the Benny Hill theme tune. So for anyone who doesn't know that, it's called Yakety Sax, isn't it? And it was another one of those moments where I went to her, "Are you messing?" And she went, "No, that's what they've changed to." I went, "Mum, where did you get this information, and why do you believe it? Why would think about it? Why would they have changed the US national anthem to the Benny Hill theme tune?" And she showed me where she'd seen it. And it was on like, just one of them spoof websites that she'd seen via Facebook. And I'm there telling, so this is a few years ago, so she's probably 74 at the time. I'm there telling me 74-year-old mum that not everything you read on the internet is true.
Yeah.
And she was shocked.
I'll tell you what, it's real. And, you know, in case you're feeling generous this coming Christmas, have you seen, we got a tweet about it, our mate Mingle again. There's a Sky Electric come out, and it's Knight Rider against the Back to the Future car.
Sky Electric of Knight Rider versus Back to the Future car?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's boss that, isn't it? You want it, don't you?
Yeah, well, this is the, do you know what I was thinking about this the other day? This is the boss thing, because my stepsons are 3 coming up to 4 and 5 coming up to 6. You can't get him, nah. Yeah, but they're getting to that age now, aren't they?
160 quid.
They'll be getting to that age where I can get all boss stuff as if it's for them, and I can just sit playing it. That's a good one, that, isn't it?
It's boss.
For a certain generation.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was watching a movie a couple of weeks ago, and a DeLorean came in it. And I went to Siobhan, "That's a DeLorean." And she was like, "A what?" I went, "A DeLorean. Don't you know what a DeLorean is?" And she was like, "No." She's 7 years younger than me.
Did you never watch Back to the Future?
Yeah, but I don't think well, this is a sexist thing to say, and if you're watching this and you're into Back to the Future as a girl, I think that's, for me, that was more of a lad's thing.
Well, I had the same this is mad to say, I had the same thing literally yesterday. So I got sent a picture of Ollie on a motorbike, and I went, "Oh, fucking hell, looks like Street Talk there."
Street Talk, he was boss, wasn't he?
And she was like,
"What are you talking about?
What's that?"
Yeah.
She literally, the reply said, "Google's Street Talk."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, before your time, maybe then."
Yeah, there we go. Well, we had Street Talk, Knight Rider, and do you remember Airwolf?
Yeah. Airwolf was sound.
Airwolf.
All 3 were good.
But I remember thinking, whoever's come up with the first one, someone else has gone, "We should do that same show." Let's say it was Knight Rider first. Someone's gone, "We should do a very similar show on a motorbike."
Oh,
and then someone's gone, "We should do a very similar show in a helicopter." Airwolf was boss. That's just reminded me. Go and watch Airwolf later. I haven't watched that for fucking years. We're running out of time. So we'll give you the update. There's another internet thing I want to share with you, but do you know what? I might do it on the Patreon show, because this is the update for you. We are moving our Patreon show to the studio. So as we finish recording this one, we're still trying to get our timings right. There's all kinds of shit going on behind the scenes, trying to fly the plane as we're building it. But we're bringing our Patreon show into the studio as we always planned to do, which we couldn't have done without your support and all the people who've subscribed. So thank you for doing that. We're also bringing a regular LFC show for all you Liverpool fans out there. We're going to bring that over. We've been doing it in collaboration with This Is Anfield. We are bringing that into the TLC stable, and we're going to be doing that exclusively ourselves from now on. you'll be watching this or listening to this on a Wednesday probably. Go back to Monday if you didn't watch it live. You can get that on our YouTube channel and on the podcast. That is going to it's going to be going behind the paywall within a couple of weeks probably, isn't it? We need to make a decision on that. But have a look at that while it's still free. We've had this is some admin on air for you. We've had our adult tag taken off us on Patreon.
Oh, have we? Yeah.
Which is good.
Well, that's sound, isn't it?
So Patreon basically were treating us like
it never was adult.
Yeah, we were an OnlyFans channel. Yeah. It was like, you've got adult content and everything. It was like, well, you put something on when I haven't been around. Like, what the fuck is it?
Why was it on?
So I don't know.
Did they explain it?
I don't know whether I ticked something when it started, when it says like, is it over 18? So like on YouTube, you say, is it for kids or not?
Yeah.
And I always put, no, it's not for kids because we swear and stuff. So I don't know whether there's something similar to that and they've just marked it as adult. And then that's affected loads of things. So it stopped us doing free trials and it blares. People have said to us, haven't they, like, I couldn't find it when I was looking there on Patreon. So that's going to have been lifted.
Because we kind of need to make all this work.
Yeah, so basically from here, there's going to be 2 shows behind the paywall. There's going to be our normal Patreon subscriber show, which is like this one, but it's going to be in the studio from now on instead of we were doing it from home. And there's going to be the Liverpool show. There's going to be 3 shows a week. £4 a month to sign up, which is £1 a week, which is 33 pence a show if you want to support us. You're going to be missing out if you're not getting onto that. So come and join us over there. As I say, we're going to roll straight into it from now on. So we'll be signing off here and then we'll be recording the other show straight away. I'm going to throw the other internet thing on there because that was the thing I was thinking on the way in. Whenever I get to the end of an agenda now, I'm like, oh, that got nothing to do. I can just roll it in the Patreon. The LFC show has already been labelled by many people the best LFC show on the internet, hasn't it?
Has it?
Yeah. In our comments.
Oh.
Or me mum, me nan. No, loads of people are saying it's boss. So come and have a look at that. We'll be able to set up the free trial now, but I've said that before. So let me set it up and then we'll tell you next week. Come and have a look. Come and join us. As we've said, it's nearly a year now, isn't it? We're still going.
Still there.
And this is the next step now. The next phase is to take this into the stratosphere to make it our job so that we can carry on and we're not having to scramble around for other jobs. That's it. We'll sign off there so we can try and squeeze all this into one day in a studio. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this and you're watching on YouTube, please press the like button. Take 2 seconds to do that. I know we always say that and people on YouTube always say it does help. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you're watching or you're listening to it on a podcast, go and leave a review on Apple or somewhere else and say, this is fucking boss. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.